ready to do social studies. So you need to get out this sheet and your social studies notes. And your iPad can be opened up to the textbook pages, and we'll get started.
My notes are those are my
Perfect.
I took out my paper at home.
You should be able to pull it up on Schoology, though, that we can fill it in. If you don't need it, you get submitted it.
I haven't submitted it.
Hold on to it. All right. This was Friday's social studies assignment. I gave you some summaries that you were filling in. I pulled out some information, and you had to put that information in to make it make sense. Okay? So when we're summarizing, what are we doing? What's happening when we're summarizing, Nick?
like educated guess.
No, not in you're thinking estimating.
Yeah, that's fine.
But we're summarizing. That's not an educated guess. Summarizing, we summarize stories, we summarize nonfiction, we summarize fiction. What does it mean, Josh?
It means like you're putting the story into like 3 sentences.
Okay, we're kind of taking that information and making it smaller. So what do we want to look for? Especially when it's information, when it's facts. Kenny, what are we looking for?
The main idea.
Main ideas, okay. What else? Maya? Say that again. I still didn't hear you. Topics. Okay, what kind of topics though? So we have a topic, right? And with that topic, what do we want to find? The main idea. But we're looking for the author's words. Nick?
You want to find the main idea and describe the main idea and how it works.
Okay. So when we're finding main idea, what are we doing? With a nonfiction text. Because this social studies book is nonfiction, right? It's information, it's facts. So we're trying to weed out the unnecessary, but find what? What are we trying to find? Kenny?
The facts.
Important facts, right? I'm getting to important facts. So we're looking for important information. We're trying to get rid of some of the junk, maybe, right? And just find the important information. Because we're reading a lot about explorers right now, right? They're coming over, they're exploring the land, they're learning about it. So what's important about that explorer and what he did? Okay, so you looked at this first section here. Okay, the Spanish were exploring Florida. What did they want to find? Spain explorers wanted to find what? We've got a couple of blanks here. John?
Spanish explorers wanted to find adventure, riches, but some knew would become rich through trade. Still, some wanted to win native
Ooh, my red went away.
and convert Native Americans. It's national.
Okay. We'll get to all that here in a minute. I'm trying to get it so you can see what we typed in here. So adventure, riches, but some dreamed of becoming. What did they dream of becoming? Kenny?
Rich through trade.
Yep, rich through trade. Okay. And I think you mentioned all this, right, John? Still some wanted to win what? What else did they want, Josh?
National glory.
National glory, exactly. National glory. I'm changing it red just to help you out, okay? And what was the last thing they wanted? Emmy? Right, they wanted to convert those Native Americans' religion to theirs, okay? So the red words then are the ones you should have filled in, okay? So if you had it, great. If you didn't, make some changes, make some corrections so you have this information, because this will help with the test review. It'll help with the worksheet you're going to do here in a little bit, okay? So we took all that, how many paragraphs were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs and kind of crunched it down to just 2 sentences. Okay? That's what we're doing when we're summarizing. Give you a second, write that down, and then we'll move to the next one. If you need more time, you'll have to pause the video or look it up later. What you need, Kenny?
I put change instead of convert. Is that good?
You might want to use the word convert or write it above. Okay, yes, it means to change them, but convert is the word you're going to see. Okay? All right. So then we have this A down here. We continued to read about Juan Ponce de Leon. Actually, I took one paragraph. I made it 2 sentences, right? So let's fill in those blanks for Juan Ponce de Leon. What'd you get, Riker?
The King of Spain offered grants to explorers. Ponce de Leon was a
Conquistador. Good.
I have it.
I'm sure. It's a tricky word. Yep. You got it, though. Good.
Claimed Puerto Rico for Spain while looking for Bimini, where he might find the so-called Fountain of Youth.
Okay.
Ponce de Leon was the first to find part of what is today state Florida.
Okay. We also need to get Florida in there. So where you put Puerto Rico, which works, I put Florida, because in Florida, though, what did he do in Florida? Let's add that in there. What did he do in Florida?
Wait, so Puerto Rico is right.
Yeah, it's fine. It works there. Yep. But what was significant about Florida? Josh?
They named it after him?
No. This is gonna be United States. Look at that. Hang on, let me get this in here and then we'll look at it. Okay?
So the bottom one should be United States?
Yeah, the bottom one should be United States. So he eventually finds part of it. So he settles in what is today Florida, right? If I go back and look at page 129, in 1513, Ponce de Leon set out to find Bimini, right? Instead, he landed in what is now the state of Florida. So that's what I was putting up here, okay? Yeah, he ran into Puerto Rico, but he was looking for this and ended up finding Florida instead of this Fountain of Youth, okay? And then he starts a settlement in Florida,
Wait, so do we write Florida anywhere in there?
okay? So, he helped conquer Puerto Rico. Right, so here I had Florida, and you could put in there that he conquered Puerto Rico. So maybe put Florida with Puerto Rico, that way you know they kind of go together, okay? Put the wipes away, and you need to add some information in there, Riker. Okay? Yep. Right?
Miss Long, are they ever gonna fix it from spelling, or are they gonna?
That's what they're being told to do, so.
What?
That's what the janitors are being told to do.
You can't do much about it because it's
Yeah.
coming from the sewers.
It's
Right.
probably really hard.
Alright, let's keep going. Section 2, Roman numeral 2, early conquistadors. What's a conquistador? That was a vocab word. What is that, Maya? Or-
It's like Spanish explorers.
Yeah, they're explorers, right? And these explorers from Spain came over and found a lot of land, didn't they? Okay. So Hernando Cortez was an explorer sent by who? Landon?
I mean, I was gonna say, isn't it a conqueror too?
Conqueror, yeah, they use that kind of as a synonym. Conquerors, conquistadors, yeah. They're exploring, they're conquering the land, right? Kind of taking it over. So he was sent by who? Who was Cortez sent by? Jackson?
Spain.
Spain. And Cortez landed in what? Can't tell. There we go. Where did he end up in? Emmy? Mexico, yep, present day Mexico. And if you wrote all that in there, that works, because it wasn't necessarily Mexico then, okay? It eventually becomes Mexico. He was headed where? Where was he going? Nick?
Aztec capital?
Yeah, the Aztec capital.
I put Empire.
Empire works. Okay, Empire's fine. Kind of the similar thing there, okay? So he's being sent here to the Aztec capital, and then we kind of find out more about him, right? Doesn't seem like kind of a great guy, does he? He kind of tricks them, doesn't he? How does he trick them? How does Cortez trick those Aztec people? Ava? No, just in your own words, how does he trick them? What does he do?
He makes them so it seems like he's their god.
Right, he makes them think he's their god, right, and then kind of turns on them. And those were words that go in here. That's why she wanted to know if she should read it. So let's look here. Cortez helped. This was just Aztecs again. Okay. Yeah.
Wasn't he the guy too that he kept getting a bunch of stuff from them and said, "I'll pay you later, I'll pay you later," then he ran away and never paid them?
Well, he acts as their god and then eventually takes over their land. So he's at first kind of nice to them. He befriends them, right? He's nice to them, and then he starts to battle with, I can't remember the person's name that he starts to have an argument with, and they battle, and then he takes over the land. Oh, we took somebody as prisoner, and then fighting breaks out.
So
Okay?
King America was a very bad situation.
Yeah, could say that.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay, we got to get through this because we've got more notes to do yet, and I want to make sure we get through them. Okay, so hang on. Cortez helped the Aztecs because they thought he was their god, but Cortez eventually conquers the... What goes in there, Adam?
Aztecs.
Yep, Aztec. My goodness. There we go. Empire. In 1521, what does Spain build? They end up building what? Joanna.
Mexico City.
Yeah. They build Mexico City now.
I believe it.
That's a stink bug.
Okay. Yeah, there's some stink bugs in here.
Is that where the stink is coming from?
No.
No.
All right, let's keep going. Section B. The 7 cities of gold. Okay. Let's fill that in. Cortez wanted to find more what, Nick? More riches. Okay, after finding gold, so he sent a priest with who? What did he send this priest with? Ooh, lots of hands right now. Landon. Yeah. Estevanico. I always spell it wrong though. Estevanico. Right? There we go. The priest returns and said he found what? What does he claim to have found? Brendan?
Gold City.
Yeah, Golden City.
Let's go.
Okay.
I have these at home, but
Okay.
I have to type them on my iPad.
Well, and you could just maybe type the words and then go back and look at them. Just check them.
They're still looking for the Golden City, right?
Not now.
Yeah, not now.
Oh.
Coronado in the southwest. He's our next section here on 131 if you're following along in the book. Let me scroll this down here so you can see B. Coronado hears about the golden cities and sets out to find them. So he hears about this and decides, you know what? I'm going to go find them. He eventually claims what? May not find the golden cities, but Nick, what does he claim? Lands where?
In land southwest United States.
Yep. So this is United States. Where else does he claim lands? I think there were 3. Where was the other one? It was, you wanna? Mexico. Mexico, Southwest United States, and one more place. One more. John? Florida. So all of those were spaces, or places, places we've already talked about, right? So Coronado comes in and claims them kind of again for Spain, or maybe officially, because what does he call these lands? He comes in, he claims them again, and officially calls them what, Emmy? Officially calls them New Spain. New Spain. All right, we had some questions. Let me get this turned red. I'll give you a minute to write. Yes.
So right here it says Southwest United States, yeah. But what are these ones for?
Let me look. United States, and this should be Florida. These should be, that's what you said. Walked around. But
Wait, so which one should be Florida?
the first one is Florida, and then New Spain are the next ones.
Which one?
Okay? Landon. Shh, gentlemen. Landon.
This one? Two things.
Got them filled in okay?
I have two things.
Okay.
This one?
Yes. That's Florida. So I put Southwest here, so United States got its own one, United Florida down here.
Oh.
That's all.
Wait, and
What's the other one?
Emperor. Wasn't it supposed to be Emperor?
He was called their god, but you could say god or leader. Some of those would have worked, yeah. Okay. All right, Riker, you got a question. I need your mask on, please.
I don't.
Back to, I think you were talking about the Golden City,
No.
or up here, the Aztecs.
Oh, yeah. How? So if he was the god, then
Mhm.
why would they like be mad that he took over the land? If he was.
Well, because probably of the way he did it. He imprisoned somebody, fights broke out, they didn't agree, right? And they kind of realized he wasn't who they were looking for. He led them to believe he was, but in the end, he was just tricking them, okay? So at first they believed that because of the way he was being and how he was behaving, and then all of a sudden that kind of changed, okay? All right. Me? No. Pretend to be a god?
I would do that.
There's only one god. I am a god.
Exactly.
Get
All right.
gold.
3, 2, gentlemen, I'm ready to move on. So we have, if I scroll down here and look at my book, on page 132, so you're going to go to your textbook on your iPad and get your notebook out, because we're going to add to your notebook here. This will be Roman numeral 3. I don't know why and it is called, yep, Social Studies. Expeditions continue.
Do we need both of these in half?
You're going to want to hold on to this sheet because that's got notes on it. So I would fold it in half, slide it in my notebook. Okay, if you did it that way. If you did it on the iPad, you might want to print a copy if you can. All right. So we're doing notes a little differently. So we're going to read this section. As we're reading, I want you to think about, maybe jot down some notes. What's important in this section? Okay, because we're going to take that information and we're going to write a sentence or two. Okay, sometimes it might be 3. It just depends on the information. It depends on how long it is. But we're going to summarize. So this is where we're at. Apparently I need some more page. There we go. Let me...
What you're saying is we're not going to do the notes together in the class?
No, we are. We're going to do this section together so you can see how we're going to do it. Okay? It's just a different way. Summarizing and writing a couple of sentences instead of doing it kind of phrases and that. Some people prefer sentences over just writing down the information. Okay? So everybody kind of has their own way.
I like the square one.
Okay? And that's fine. Some of you like the T-chart. Some of you like the outline setup. This is just one more way. So today we're all going to summarize. Okay? All right, so getting ready. Chapter 3, Lesson 3, notes continued. Don't throw this away because this has notes for the first half of your lesson. Okay? All right. What is an expedition? Let's start there. We need to kind of know. So we're doing that preview part. Okay, expedition. We can still ask questions. We can still have conversations about things before we start reading. Because what does that do for us? What does previewing and thinking about the information and asking questions do for us? How, Sean? How does it help us learn?
By talking about it and kind of getting it through your mind.
Okay. Kind of thinking about what you're going to read about, right? What do I want to know? What do I already know about this information? Juliana?
If you ask questions, you might find out.
Yeah. If you ask a question, you might find the answer while you're reading. Okay, kind of like what we did with the reading, isn't it? Where I had those questions so you could answer them as you were reading. Penny?
What lesson is this?
Chapter 3, Lesson 3.
Oh.
We got to finish Lesson 3.
Yes, I thought you said 2 earlier, so.
I could have. I get mixed up. I try to say Chapter 4 and Chapter 6 and try to keep them all straight.
I thought it was 3.
It is. It is 3. Chapter 3, Lesson 3. All right, here we go. Expeditions continue. More conquistadors wanted to explore the Americas. You're following along. iPad open to the textbook. They came to the Americas to claim land and find gold. Pizarro and the Incas. Francisco Pizarro was a Spanish conquistador. I would write that down. You may have already written it down in your vocab people places. Okay? Francisco Pizarro was a Spanish conquistador. In 1531, he led 180 soldiers on an expedition into the western coast of South America. We didn't say what expedition meant. What is that? What is that, Maya?
Kind of like adventure.
Yeah, an adventure, a journey. So he's going on an adventure, a journey.
What was it?
Francisco Pizarro. There, he and his soldiers met with people from the Inca Empire, which was led by Atahualpa. A priest traveling with Pizarro told the Inca leader that the Incas had to accept Christianity and Spanish rule. Atahualpa said no, and Pizarro and his soldiers attacked the Incas. The Spanish took, what is it, Landon? Ooh, I like that. That sounds fancy. Prisoner. So the Incas were left without a leader. After his death, Pizarro traveled to Cuzco, the capital of the Inca Empire, and took control of the region. Well, let's stop there, because that was kind of one section, Pizarro and the Incas, before we get into the next section. So let's talk about Pizarro and the Incas. What is something that might be important information? How can we summarize what Pizarro did? 2 R's. I didn't do 2 R's. I did two Z's. There we go. What did he do? He was a conqueror. He was a conquistador. Who did he conquer? How did he do it? That's what we're looking for. Kenny?
He,
Voice. I need you to follow
he
along.
took Arapia prisoner.
Okay. So he was the Inca leader, right? That he took prisoner. So Pizarro, keep wanting to give him two Z's. Took. And this was a important person because his name is bolded. So you need to see what you wrote down for him. So he was the leader. So we've got to start. Pizarro took the Inca leader as prisoner. What happens? Give me some more information. What else can we add in there? Should be writing this down in our notebooks. How does he get there? How does he get to the Inca Empire? What does he tell them they have to do? gonna put a sentence up here, or you can add it down here. Okay, I know you're writing and not typing now, so. Pizarro told the Incas they had to accept Christianity and Spanish rule. So then he takes their leader prisoner. What happens as a result of that? So I added it up here. Now you're writing, so you might be adding it down here. Okay, that's okay. We should wait. We should do our summary, and then I should have you write it. That way it's in the right order. What happens because he takes him as prisoner? Kenny?
They were left without a leader.
They were, and what happens? Because they're left without a leader. Go ahead, Kenny.
They were forced to let Pizarro lead them.
Yep, and Pizarro, I should say, takes control of the empire, right? So here we had Cortez took control of the Aztec Empire, and here you have Pizarro taking control of this Inca Empire. Okay, and that's what the Spanish are doing. They're coming over, they're taking control of these different areas.
I feel like all the people that were discovering America and all the people that were living expeditions and stuff for me.
Yeah, it seems like they weren't so kind about doing this, were they?
I bet they're like, well, money this land.
Well, and those that were already there felt differently about the land. They just wanted to share the land, and they thought, you know, you couldn't necessarily own this piece of land. Everybody got to use the land, and we read more about that down the road here, but that's not how these people necessarily felt. Okay? And there's some other issues we'll learn about too as they're, you know, they're conquering this land, but it's not necessarily staying in their possession. Okay, and that's something we'll talk about later as well.
Just to get to know the bad history and go to all the good.
All the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to read about DeSoto in the southeast. Okay, you'll have to finish writing here in a little bit, or you can pause the video. But here we go. Another conquistador named Hernando de Soto explored the southeastern United States. In 1539, he and 600 men sailed from Cuba and landed near Tampa Bay. Later, they became the first Europeans to see the Mississippi River. De Soto and his soldiers met many Native Americans during this expedition. These meetings often ended in bloody battles. One of the worst battles took place against the Mobile tribe in what is now the state of Alabama. In 1542, De Soto died of a fever. Of the 600 men who started the journey, only about 300 survived. De Soto and his men claimed the land they explored. Spanish claims now covered much of the southern half of what is now the United States. Let's talk about De Soto. What can you tell me? What did he do? Kenny?
He explored the southeastern United States.
Okay, so he did the southern part of the United States, right? He explored the southeastern United States. Kind of explored that area. Explored southeastern United States. What else did he do? His group of people were the first to what? What are they the first to do? The first to sea. First Europeans, anyways. Adam?
They're first to see the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
South.
To see Mississippi river. I got us started for our last sentence. Let me scroll this up. I know it gets to be hard to see when it's low. Okay, give you a second, let you write that down, we'll finish our sentence. What did Spain now claim? We add in De Soto's claim and discovery. What does Spain claim now? Last sentence on page 132.
What does it claim now?
Yeah, not now, not like today, but according to our text information. Sean?
Much of the southern half is what is now the United States.
Right, so they cover much of the southern half. So Spain now claims much of the, southern half of, remember, it's not called the United States yet, but they're referring to it as the United States because you know that land. You're familiar with how it looks. Okay, it didn't look necessarily exactly the same. It wasn't the States. It wasn't called the United States, but for us, it helps make a connection. Okay? Missionaries to America. Need a second to write that down.
Miss,
Yes.
do you think you'd last a day teaching kindergarten there?
No, I would not. They would wear me out.
Especially my brother. You would not want to deal with my
Miss
brother.
Morrow somehow does it really good.
I love
She
him.
is really good.
I love him deeply, but he can be pretty hard.
is the best.
No.
I know. This is good.
No, Miss Burke.
All right, you're writing, gentlemen.
I never
Same
had this
voice.
before, and she
We
said,
can't keep getting off track. You're writing. Because if you're done, then we're ready to move on. All right, last section. Missionaries to America. 133 is where I'm at.
Come on, guys.
Okay, focus. So you should have your iPad opened up to the textbook. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs there to read. I'm going to give you 5-10 minutes. I want you to read those couple of paragraphs and come up with your own summary. Okay, finding that important information, writing down those details. Okay, and summarize that information. And then we're going to talk about it. So 5-10 minutes. I'll see where you're at in 5, and then if you need more, I'll give you more time. Okay?
Page one.
So right now you're reading page 133, coming up with a summary.
wait, so do we do missionaries to America and
Yep.
that's it?
Chapter 3.
No, well, all of this goes.
Do-
It's actually 133 to 134.
So we do missionaries to America and religious
All
reform.
of it, Penny, yes.
Okay.
All of it. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure they are. There isn't much I'm gonna do for you. You don't have any chapstick you brought with you? No?
Miss Long is Roman numeral 4 just 4 lines.
No, it's IV.
Bible.
So if you're writing, if you're doing that, it would be an I and a V. Like that, okay? All right, reading and summarizing. How we doing? Okay?
Yeah.
All right, a few more minutes.
Yeah.
All right,
We can write one more.
all right.
5 on top of it.
Summary, you're finding important information, just like we've been doing. That's got your notes on it, part of the lesson. Yours too?
Can we do the worksheet when we're done with it?
Nope, not right now, we're gonna go over it. We wanna see what you wrote down from your summary. Bless you. Well, maybe 2 more minutes, and then we're gonna share some summaries here, see what you came up with. Don't you have a sharpener? I gave you one.
Yeah, with my sharpener.
Right, are you all done? Who's still writing? All right. Which name, Maya? No, you're gonna do both, all paragraphs, 133, 134.
Wait, these?
And then this little over here. Yeah, we kinda snuck one on the next page, didn't they?
I thought we were just gonna do the missionaries to America.
Well, all of that is part of the missionaries to America, so then you have the religious reforms, that's part of it too, and then when you, yours comes up on yours, 134, that little paragraph.
Well, I do this.
Okay. No, that's fine.
They have to write the block.
All right, some of you might still be writing, and that's fine, but some of you, I think, are ready to share. So let's see what we came up with to summarize what happens in missionaries to America. All right, Canyon.
While the
Conquistadors. Good.
Were exploring the Americas. Many changes were taking place in Europe. Church leaders wanted to gain new followers. It was not until later that missionaries actually started teaching them about Catholic beliefs.
Catholic beliefs.
That's all.
Okay. So at some point we wanted them to know that they kind of changed, right? We had Martin Luther that kind of reforms his church, right? And it becomes known as a Lutheran church, and they're called Protestants. So that's kind of the change. We're seeing a shift on what's happening. Kenny, what did you write?
People questioned the church's power.
Good.
They made people pay taxes. They had their own court. Martin Luther King began protests against the power the churches had.
Right. So
Missionaries were
good.
brought up, but it took some time for them to be sent.
All right. Emmy.
In 1517, Martin
Sneak over here.
began to call for reforms openly. People began new churches, and the Catholic Church made changes. The church sent missionaries. They started teaching Catholic beliefs and forced Native Americans to become Catholic.
All right. Good. Josh.
Some missionaries forced Native Americans to become Catholics and also enslaved them. Many Native Americans fought to hold on their beliefs, but others were forced to change how they live and worship. I also have a question.
Sure.
What are missionaries?
Well, it tells you in there. What's a missionary? Look in that book. Bright yellow word. The church sent religious teachers or missionaries to convert Native Americans. So a missionary is like a group of people or somebody that's coming to teach them this religion and try and convert them.
Yeah, but what are they teaching them?
We're teaching them about the religion,
Yeah, like a religion is like the
your
like
beliefs.
Christian,
So they're trying to put their
Catholic.
beliefs on them.
Like the beliefs
Okay.
about God.
Kenny. All right? So that's what they're teaching them. So they're trying to teach them about their religion so that way they'll believe in it and they'll turn and become part of their group. So good. I think all of you that shared, we're on the right track, right? Here they're kind of questioning the religion, the power of it. Put it away. Okay, and what's happening, and they're like, nope, too much power, we need to figure something else out. So Martin Luther, who was an important person, you should have written down for vocab people places, kind of begins his own change, right? Okay, and then starts his own thing. And the church keeps banning books and putting these restrictions on them, and people keep trying to kind of fight back. And we'll see that continue as we go through as well. Okay? Why did they want people to believe in their Catholic religion? How come they didn't want them to believe other things? Nick?
They want them to agree with them.
Yeah, they pretty much wanted them to agree with them, right? They didn't want them to have these other beliefs because they were afraid maybe they were going to turn on them or something was going to happen. Okay, so they're trying to get them on their side, and they thought this was the way to do it. All right? So, missionaries to America. You should have a summary down for that. Let me find Schoology. Chapter 3, as you should know, you filled in assignment notebooks. You have a Chapter 3, Lesson 3 worksheet. Let me see what it looks like here. I think it was matching some vocab words, matching people, places, and then there were a few questions down here to answer based on the information that we were reading. Okay? So, notes for Lesson 3 are done. You're answering this worksheet, and that's it for social studies.